It is time to expand minds through movies, TV, sports, and flicks. It is time to boldly go where no podcast has gone before. It is time for the Captain Talks Flicks.
The Captain Talk Flicks.
Welcome to the Captain Talks Flicks podcast. I'm your host, the Captain Cortez, aka Mr. Love, and this is where we talk flicks. I welcome the podcast where me, the Captain, talks about movies, TV, sports, flicks, anything you can see on the tuber screen. I like to get on here and give my unique perspective, because after 47 years of being on planet Earth, I have developed a unique perspective about this movies, TV, sports, and flicks, and I'd like to tell you about it. Because just maybe you care. And according to the stats, it looks like you do care. I want to give a big shout out to Puerto Rico. Got some plays over in Puerto Rico this past week. Gracias, gratitude, todo raba. In Puerto Rico, in the last couple of weeks, somebody thought I was Puerto Rican. Like they were asking about that. Now, I would love to say I am Puerto Rican, but I can't because I'm not from there. But I was honored that someone thought that I was from Puerto Rico because I heard your land is very lovely. So yeah, I was very honored. So thanks for listening. Gracias, gratitude. And just FYI, back then went to school to be a radio DJ, but never got a job. I think I never got a job because I just didn't have the gusto. If I would have had the gusto, that would allow me to become a radio DJ. But it didn't. It allowed me to become the greatest podcaster in the Matrix. Something that might be true, might not be true, but I said it on the internet, so it's gotta be true, right? Because everything on the internet is facts, not facts, true, false, propaganda, fake news, chicken, beef, pork, poultry, fish, peche, lobster, seafood. I don't know. I didn't make the internet. Ask the people that made the internet. So when you're online, just be aware, just watch out. Anyways, I could ramble all over, but I won't. Let's get right into the podcast. But first, a word from our sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, do you write? Do you take pen and pencil and put it onto paper? Now, I think in this digital age, some of us just don't do that like we used to. Some people think, though, if you take pen, pencil, paper, and write things down, that just makes them more real, which makes them more likely to come true. I think there's some stat or some study that people that wrote things down, like on paper, it just was more likely for it to happen for them. I know it's some weird stat, you can look it up, Google it, but it's something like that. Anyways, if you think that or believe that's true, we have a notebook for you over at the Existing Fictions at store. So you can take your ideas, your thoughts, your words, and manifest them into reality. Maybe, maybe not, I don't know. But even if not, we got a cool notebook for you to write stuff in. Maybe you can write a love letter to that lady or that man you really like. There's a couple ladies I like. Maybe I'll write them a love letter. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. So anyways, if you need a notebook, I'll put a link to the notebook over at the Existing Fictions at the store. So you can just write whatever you need to or want to in this book. I think we should be doing this. So let's check the link now. Let's get on the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I am back again. And I almost wasn't. This week, I thought about hanging up the mic. I thought about stopping. I thought about tapping out. I thought about just giving up on the podcast game. There's too much going on. Too much happening. There's too much pressure. There's too much stress. Life is too hard. We got to stop podcasting, bro. We got to hang up the mic and give it up. Call it a day. We got 500 some episodes. Let's call it a day. Let's just tap out. Let's say no mas. Let's give up. I thought about it, bro. I thought about it for a moment in time since maybe it's time to give this podcast up. Yeah. But you know what? I chose not to. I said, let's just keep showing up. Let's just keep doing these and see what happens. One of the main tries beyond Expanded Minds, because Expanded Minds is part of the goal of this podcast. But another goal of the podcast is like, let's just do them and see what happens. A lot of the things I do in 2023 and the last few years is just doing them for long periods of time and see what happens. Like the Captain, Che Cortez, has never done this. I've never done 500 some podcasts. What happens when I do 500 some podcasts? I don't know. Want to find out. What happens when you meditate for like years upon years? I don't know. Let's find out. What happens when you do language lessons for years upon years? I don't know. I'm just going to find this out. So the motivation for doing things for long periods of time is just to do them and see what happens. I'm assuming good things will come. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I did not quit. Now, if you're on this journey with me, and whatever you do out there in cyberspace or in reality you're doing on a regular basis, and you're thinking about quitting, let me tell you what, a lot of people quit. A lot of people quit. A lot of people tapped out. And since I've done this podcast, a lot of people started and stopped. A lot of people are quitting. So if you out there in cyberspace are thinking about quitting whatever you're working on, don't quit. So many other people give up and quit. It stopped. It just stopped. They quit. Don't quit. You want to evolve, not devolve. You want to take this game to the next level. Keep on going. This podcast is about expanding our mind. Let's expand our mind. Let's keep engaged in these awesome practices. Let's keep doing these things. Going to level us up. Sometimes on the path, you are going to feel like quitting. I just felt it this past week. You may think the captain never feels like quitting. Yeah, a lot of times I do. But I just kept going. Let's keep going. Let's keep doing it. Let's just keep doing these things and see what happens. And maybe at the end of this journey, we'll be just a little bit better, a little bit smarter, a little bit faster, a little bit wiser, a little more human, just a little better than we started. That's all we can ask for. So anyways, that's what happened this week. Now let me get into the podcast. And this week, I'm going to talk about my favorite franchise on planet Earth. And if you've been here before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if this is your first time, let me tell you what my favorite franchise on planet Earth is. My favorite franchise on planet Earth is the one, the only, Star Trek. Yes, beat me up, Scotty, live long and prosper. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, I'm sure you do. So anyways, this past week, I got to watch Star Trek, Picard, The Bounty. And ooh, let me tell you this. Another finely crafted episode of Star Trek. A great, great experience. It was so lovely. Now, before I get into Star Trek Picard, The Bounty, a couple things. First of all, there will be spoilers. Second of all, I do own some shares in the parent company Star Trek. Just want to be clear and transparent. Just want to let you know that. Now that I told you that, let's get into Star Trek Picard, The Bounty. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to see some old friends. We got to see some old friends from back in the day, from the next gen days. And if you've been watching Star Trek for a long time like I have, if you've seen it back in the 80s and 90s like I have, you've seen Star Trek The Next Generation, then you'll be like, oh, some old friends came back. Who are those old friends that came back? One of them was none other than possibly the greatest engineer to ever be in Starfleet, or one of the greats. Hold on. One of the greats, because some people will say some other names, but he's definitely in the top tiers of engineers of Starfleet. And I'm talking about the one and only Geordi LaForge. You know Geordi LaForge? Oh, you know Geordi LaForge. Guy that wore the visor back in the day because his sight was all messed up, so he had to wear a visor, that cool Geordi LaForge visor. He don't got to wear it now because, technology has improved. But back during the Next Generation days, he had to wear the visor. You know, Geordi LaForge couldn't get a date like me. Geordi LaForge was struggling to get dates like me. I could identify with Geordi LaForge because he was always struggling to get dates. Had to date a hologram, right? I'm kind of doing the same. I'm getting digital intimacy through the screen, bro. I feel you, Geordi LaForge. I know what you're talking about. I've talked about that before. I feel you. But now Geordi LaForge is leveled up. Geordi LaForge has kids. Not only did he get a relationship, but he had children, bro. Geordi LaForge leveled up. No more digital holographic woman for him. He got real live kids, baby. And that means he had a relationship of some kind, because you don't have kids without some kind of a relationship. So good for you, Geordi LaForge, on hooking up with a real live woman and having kids. I love it. It is awesome. Now, if the Captain Che Cortez can do the same, life will be fantastic. So anyways, Geordi LaForge was back. And he met up with Captain Picard because Captain Picard needed help. Captain Picard is in a bind. Captain Picard is public enemy number one. Starfleet is after him. Everyone's after him. Picard is a man on the run, and he linked up with his old buddy, Geordi LaForge, to try to get some help. That is what I want to go a little deeper into this week. Because Picard came to Geordi LaForge asking for help. He was asking Geordi LaForge to do some things that could cost him his position, could cost him his family some problems. And Picard's like, bro, can you help me? And after thinking about it, Jordan LaForge had to say, no, Picard, I can't. I got too much to lose. When I was younger, it was nothing, bro. It's easy. I go out and take chances and take risks. But now I got a family, bro. I can't help you. Right? This is what happened in the episode. Now, what I want to talk about is I totally understand this. As a young individual, a young human being, the younger version of the captain was quicker to take a risk, was quicker to take action, was quicker to just jump in head first, not be too concerned about the outcome. Yeah, when you're young, a lot of us do that. When you're young, you're a little bit bolder, a little more riskier. As you get older, as I'm finding out, you just less to take a risk. You just get less to take chances, less to move a little more bold. Because we know we make those moves, outcomes can be serious. Outcomes, losses can be heavy. So we're less quick to make those bold moves, especially when you got family. Now, I don't really have family like Jordan LaForge. I ain't got no kids. I ain't got no wife. But even as a 47-year-old dude, older dude, I'm not as quick to move into risk like that. And if I had kids and a wife, oh, you best believe it'd be even more scaled back, right? I totally understand that. So Picard goes to LaForge and says, bro, I can't do it because I got too much to lose now. I have to play it safe. Now, if you're older, you probably feel me on this. You probably know what I'm talking about. If you got kids, you got a wife, and you got so much responsibilities, like, bro, I just can't move into a lot of risk, bro. I just can't do that, right? So I totally feel that. Now, if you're younger, you might just be moving boldly, taking more chances, bro. It's probably true, right? And so in the episode, they explore that. So in the show, Picard and Geordi just said, okay, I understand. You don't want to help. Cool, we're just going to move on. But all those kids and those risk-taking kids, because Picard's kid and Geordi's kid's like, okay, we're going to take some action. We're going to make some moves. We're going to take some risks. We're going to try to get out of the situation. We're going to try to right the wrongs. We're very idealistic. We're young. We're bold. But let's go do it. So while the older Picard and LaForge were like, bro, no, we're going to make the move. The kids, man, the kids chose to move differently. And also, Geordi's kid told Geordi LaForge, like, I learned this from you, Dad. Hearing the adventures of you and Jean-Luc. I learned this from you. And Geordi LaForge, for a moment in time, kind of forgot what he was. Forgot where he came from. Just for a moment in time, forgot who he was. And it took his daughter to kind of remind him who he was. So, there's a lot of lessons in this episode. So as a 47-year-old dude, I wrestle with this a lot. How much risk to take, how much not to take. How bold to move, how bold not to move. Like, this is something I'm dealing with on a regular basis, man. It's something I gotta weigh out. You kind of want to keep that youthful boldness, riskiness, but you also want to keep that older, disciplined self. And you don't want to be on the extreme of either end of that. So you kind of want a nice blend mix. And I was just trying to wrestle with what is the right balance for the captain. And you as an older person might be out there thinking the same thing. Maybe thinking like, man, back in the day I was a risky dude. I took a lot of chances to move boldly. But now I'm old, stick in the mud. This is life, bro. This is where I'm at. So I don't know. So this episode had me thinking about a lot of things I'll be thinking about for the next couple of weeks, I'm sure. So it is another fine episode of Picard. Picard's season is so awesome. And so yeah, this concludes the podcast. And until next time, we'll see. You can only learn to love by loving. Iris Murdoch. Until next time, it's Captain Peace.
The Captain Talks Flicks.